Not even on. There we go. How's that? How you going, guys? Just got a question. I was writing him an essay as an answer. I thought, stuff it. I'll do a quick video about it. I have answered it a few times in throughout videos, daily life videos and things like that when we're traveling, but it's never been a standalone video to answer the question. So, old mate Kevin would like to know, I don't know if you've explained it before, but just curious of why your wife has so much land. Was it purchased by herself because she must have had really good foresight? She had really good foresight. She did. After high school and that, she put herself through university, taught herself English, got into banking, and after that opened up her own finance company, lending out money. Any profits from that, she reinvested in land. A lot of people don't like keeping their money in banks here. That's why you see such big mega mansions. They pile all their money into a property, or they buy land and things like that. The value is held there. Don't know if they're afraid the banks will collapse or they're going to be ripped off by the banks. Speaking of banks, which bit of corruption in banks happening this week, but that's another story. The profits reinvesting in land, and people she had lent money to buy land. They would sometimes give her part of that land or parcels of land to then repay their debt later. So she ended up with various amounts of properties all around, well, mainly Vientiane. The two properties she owns down in Savannah, the large house was her father's house, the family home that her father left her. And the other little house that the foreign couple, Jimmy and Tree, are living in, that was just an investment house. It was a good price. She bought it at the time. That was not long after I met her. She bought that. That was probably 2014 or so. But up until I met her, most of these properties were already accumulated. This street that we're living on now, I don't know how long she had it. When I first seen this property and the house was built, well, I seen it when it was completely vacant before this house started being built. I think she showed me in June 2014 because the house started getting built in 2015. There was nothing here. This whole street down to the cockfighters, at the bend down there where the concrete road finishes, all the way up here, Neenee owned this whole parcel of land. There was nothing on it. Built her house, her sister built across from her, her brother had bought a parcel of land off her where the restaurant is. But he's a busy man also. He's in the military and he couldn't juggle both the military and the restaurant, and Neenee repurchased it back off him not long after they had started, and she developed that the VIP room that we call it, the bigger part of the restaurant. But and then she just started selling off parcels of land and reinvesting in others. I've had people hint at the comments over the years, don't invest over here. You're going to get caught out, just like all the other foreigners who marry Southeast Asian women do and things like that, thinking that all of this is coming from me. It isn't. I was working up until COVID. I was back and forth. Neenee was a self-made businesswoman, not rich. She hadn't been. She was out of finance when I met her. she had some restaurants. She's got a restaurant that she leases out over in Laos. She had another restaurant, KM1, where the family home in Vientiane is, where her brother lives, and 2 other restaurants. So it was just so stressful. You know, and with the hereditary high blood pressure that she had, the finance business just was not good for her. Turned out the restaurant business wasn't good for her either. You know, just owning one restaurant can be very stressful. So she's not what you'd call a rich person. All her money and everything she's worked hard for, she's just invested in land. You know, it wasn't until we travelled to Vung Vieng in 2015, and I was unaware. I was happily unaware of what Neenee owned. She wasn't a person to just go flexing, bragging about what she's got. She just kept it to herself. I didn't know most of them until after we were married. You know, which on one of our trips to Vung Vieng in 2015, we crossed the Nam Song River and we're talking to a family up there, and they had 112 metres of the Nam Song River right next to Chang Cave, and they were selling that. So we spoke about it. I've gone back to work. I've sent over a deposit, you know, just thinking, well, we can start making a footprint here, you know, accumulating things. Me unaware that what Neenee already owned, you know, and we purchased that and have done absolutely nothing with it since 2000. That's 10 years ago. Since then, the rail has come in. So much development has happened in Vung Vieng, but you can still see right up the river to those gorgeous mountains that are just straight across from the main part of town. Nice quiet area. So what we're going to do with that, don't know. You know, back in 2015, I absolutely loved Vung Vieng. You know, the road wasn't on the other side of the river or anything then, and I could see myself happily building a house on the side of the river and kicking back and watching sunsets there and retiring up there. But it is a different place today, you know, since that train line has gone in. And we're pretty much settled here in Vientiane. I really do like the Vientiane life, you know. And then one other time, P.D.R, the place at P.D.R. So we've only purchased 2 properties since we've met. You know, we went for a drive out to P.D.R just for content, you know, showing people different properties, and we're asking people prices of properties, just to give viewers an idea of what property prices are like in Laos. And we met the guy there that he owns the hardware store, and the restaurant was on the other side of the car park. It's the bigger restaurant that I've just recently shown. In the last few months that we've been going out there, they developed their restaurant across the road from the markets there. Well, his family owns all that, but they owned P.D.R too, and they really wanted to sell it. And it was run down, it was a jungle at the time, there was rubbish on the embankment, and they gave us a price, and I loved the area, but it was just something we couldn't really afford. So we made him a bullshit offer. They got back to us a week or 2 weeks or so. I was in Australia at this time. And they said they've got back to us. The bullshit offer was half the price of what they wanted. We ended up picking that up for under 50,000. Not going to go into figures and things like that on any of the properties, there's no need, but it was a steal. And not long after that, I wired the money over so Neenee could put a deposit on it, organise a loan over here so we can just secure the property. And as you've seen, up until October last year, this was in 2018, we purchased it. October last year, we done absolutely nothing with it. Trimmed the bushes a few times and kind of made starts of renovations that were just going nowhere. You know, I can count on one hand in those last 7 years how many times we had actually been out there, and each time we'd been out there I had these dreams of doing things and we're going to come out here more often, and it just didn't happen, did it? But it wasn't until Eddie that it just changed everything, you know. And you know, it has been mentioned that here's Eddie coming along, moving into the place, getting you to renovate it and things like that. Now he's leaving, but it was the best thing that could have ever happened. Look at the place now. And we needed that kick in the bum to get it started, you know. And now we've got a beautiful house, livable house, right on the river that somebody can come and rent very cheaply for $300 a month. Still hasn't been taken yet either, guys. So if anybody's still interested, it's not like we're living the high life over here. You know, all the money's tied up. All, you know, during COVID, when the restaurants were shut, we were living paycheck to paycheck through YouTube. I wasn't going back to work at this time. You remember? I was trapped over here. Now, it wasn't long before then I had sold everything up in Australia, and I was living with my mum, and I was going back to work 3 months on, 3 months off over here. Had my super and savings in the bank, nothing else. So when COVID hit, I'm stuck over here. That's when I'm hammering tongs into the YouTube channel to keep us afloat. There was no money coming in through the restaurant, no money coming in from Australia because of my job. All her money was tied up in property. And it's still kind of like that today. You know, we are living month to month to month, just with paying bills through the revenue from YouTube. Neenee does have the restaurant in Laos that she shares with her son, you know, that she's renting out. So there's a little bit of rent there, but there's not much of a cash flow coming in. So yeah, it is like we're still working for, you know, like most people, week to week, month to month. You see things like the new car or the troopy getting done up and things like that. That's from her selling off little parcels of her land. The driveway this old mate wanted to put up the side of here so he could build out the back that big L-shaped showroom. That was the money Neenee just put straight onto not investing in a new car. You don't invest in a new car, do you? Buying a new car and be able to renovate K.D.R out there, you know, and start on Neela's down here. You know, that's being able to be started because of the next parcel of land he just purchased a few weeks ago. So it's not like she's got a bottomless bank account that she can just withdraw all this money from. It was just, like you said, mate, it was good foresight. Brilliant foresight, wasn't it? You know, investing in this land that she didn't really need, but just to hold on. She's held on for it for years, probably 20 more years since to be honest, I got no idea how long she had this here, and she had to fill it in herself because it was rice field. It was all rice field. it's incredible to look at this area today from that first time she brought me up here, this red dirt road with just weeds all over the place. This house wasn't even here. There was just nothing. And it didn't appeal to me. I just thought, where are we? We're just out the back suburbs of Vientiane, because when you're new to a place, a city or anywhere, when somebody takes you somewhere, it does seem a lot further to get there than what it actually is. You know, and the more you travel that road, the quicker it gets. You know, and that's what it's like living out here. We're just stone's throw from the tourist area. It's not really, it's 10 minutes, but it doesn't seem far. But if we were to come pick you up from the tourist area and drive you out here, you'd be thinking, Christ, where is this place? And another thing that I'll clear up that a lot of people do think, because it's a communist country, if the government wants that land, they can just come in and take that. You haven't got a leg to stand on. That's not right. If you have the gold title deed of the land, the government just, if they want to do a project there, and Neenee has owned land in an area that was marked for a project, earmarked for a project. They came in buying up all that land. Neenee wasn't happy with the offer they made. A lot of people around her took that offer and run. They just wanted the cash. Neenee wasn't happy with it. She sat out for a year or two. It has only just been settled just before we came to Australia, actually. They had negotiated for over 12, 24 months or so until they came to an agreement on the parcel of land, and the money went in the bank while we're in Australia. So just wanted to clear that up. You know, it's just like laws and that we have in place in Australia, no doubt the rest of the world, the US, Europe and that. If you own land and it is fully yours, the government has to make you a decent offer. So that's it, guys. You know, she is a land baron. She hasn't got a shitload of land all over the place. She just had good foresight in what to do with her profits, and it has really paid off for her. And you know, one day the price is right, you know, an investor looking to invest in Vang Vieng, that property's for sale too. There's over 2.5 acres right next to Chang Cave in Vientiane with 112 metres of Nam Song River frontage that the tourist boats go past every day, not far from the toll gates. So it won't be long and I'll be doing a video of that place up there, and no doubt putting our feelers out, just because we're never going to be doing anything with it up there. We've held on to it for 10 years now, you know, and just time to reinvest here. You know, that's why she's starting to get some rentals in place, so we can just kick back and not have to rely on us both working and doing things. And what happens if my YouTube channel goes arse up? You know, that has carried us through COVID, and it still works for us today. You know, it pays our bills, our food, how we live here. You know, and then with the help from Patreon and some generous supporters, helps us go on our trips and help the poor. But you know, it all did start with us just reaching in our own pocket on these trips and helping them out. And even if we didn't have that, I'd still be reaching in my pocket today when we go on the trips to help people out. It's just something I really do enjoy doing. You know, it isn't about accumulating great wealth. It is about being happy in life. feeling fulfilled, you know, and helping others. Now, I've seen some very bitter and surly rich people throughout my life, and it obviously doesn't buy happiness, you know. So that's your answer, Kevin O'Brien. Thank you, mate. You know, it's probably been a long time coming, this video, but I'm sure there's some areas that I have missed in that story, so hit us up in the comments below if you have anything. You know, I don't mind being candid about our life here, because we've got nothing to hide. We're not doing anything wrong, and we're not hurting anybody, so we just want to live a comfortable life and make others feel comfortable around us also. And we're going to continue doing this. You know, it may not be as often as I'd like the videos now, because the more I do it, the more the better quality video I want to do. It's, you know, when you start out in YouTube, you start pumping them out and you get quicker at the editing, but the quality of video doesn't necessarily get any better. It only gets better when you spend more time on it. And with my videos, you know, no doubt you can tell the difference between a daily life video and some of my travel videos. It's like they've been edited by two different people, you know, just the quality of some compared to others. Not saying they're bad, but it's just a different type of video, just thrown together all by itself, you know. But it's always been and always will be videos made for me that I'm happy with. You know, but this question, I was happy to share that with you, you know, because like I said, it's never been a standalone video. A lot of people do wonder, and it's just to put anything to rest that some of the haters might be wondering, or, you know, or even you genuine people, you know, just wondering how the hell they doing all this. But I've rambled on for long enough. What's that? Bloody 25 minutes. Probably be about 20 minutes when I cut the shit out, but hit us up in the comments below if you'd like to know anything else. And I've got to start planning our next trip. I've still got donations and travel videos we've done since the Australian trip that we've helped people out. Neenee's lucky dip. That's okay, baby young. So there's still a lot of videos to catch up on. It's just now with Mina and me and Neenee like to spend quality time together. I can't put that much time into my videos anymore. You know, I do like to have a few days off a week, so it's probably just going to be 2 at the most for a while now, but I still love creating, guys, so they'll always be there. But just hang in there and know that there's a good video coming just around the corner. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you to all my patrons over the years and long-time supporters of the channel. Give us a like, big thumbs up and a comment, because YouTubers say it all the time, but it really does help. If there is no interaction on a video, it just doesn't get pushed these days. Take care, guys.